Although I disagree with a lot of what you said, um, the thing that really provoked me to, push the record button here is your use of the word faith. Even, by my dictionary, it um, it says belief without um, complete proof. I think that's the exact terminology. Let me just make sure. Um, certain proof. Okay, which means that you got to have, it's that there's got to be reasonable evidence or compelling logic or something short of certain proof to make faith legitimate. I mean, faith doesn't mean faith with absolutely no reason. Faith because I want it. Faith, you know, that can't be the excuse. I want it to be true, therefore I have faith. No, it's supposed to meet some standard. And the standard somewhere below certain proof, but it's certainly above um, wishful thinking. So, take the word, I don't like this stupid word, but take the word seriously. And it's not meant to be a catch-all for any preposterous nonsense that comes out of somebody's mouth. You can't just legitimize anything and say, okay, faith is okay because he believes it's faith and it's okay. It's not unreasonable. Faith is automatically not unreasonable. Of course faith can be unreasonable. And you know, when you look at the evidence of evolution, you look at the evidence of look at our cultural evolution even. I mean, the very fact that we have definitely come from some, we steadily progress in our understanding of the universe. And here you're saying it's okay for people to adopt ideas that people had 4,000 years ago or 2,000 years ago and say those ideas constructed by minds that had a completely corrupt knowledge base, a knowledge base based on superstition and complete nonsense, that's a credible source of knowledge today. It's 2007. We have walked on the cheese moon. The game is really over when it comes to this kind of nonsense. It's not a flat earth. The thunder is not Thor. We don't have duels with emperors where we lay down our sticks and they turn into snakes and the snakes fight with each other and then we wish plagues on each other. I mean, even these concepts are just so preposterous, and to sit there and say that they are reasonable, that they meet the reasonable standard that faith must require, some standard below certain proof. I mean, obviously, certain proof is a difficult standard. Okay, not too many. There's not, certainty is you want to be careful in applying, what we state with certainty. But below that, there's got to be reason. There's got to be logic. There's got to be evidence. There can't just be, a free-for-all where there's no standards. That's the rule of intelligence. Even, I mean, you're throwing out the whole concept of intelligence if you say there's no standard. Nothing has to meet a standard. And to say it is reasonable, none of these religions have any more credibility than any other. The only thing that gives any of them any credibility is their popularity. And so, analyze that for just a minute. Where is the Christian faith come from? Okay, there's lots of people in it. So yeah, some people are confident just because, okay, I can be comfortable because there's lots of others that believe it. But look at the history of how did it get to that point? How did Christianity become popular? Was there an election somewhere? No, there was a thing called the Crusades and the Inquisition. There was the destruction and slaughter of civilizations in the name of Jesus Christ and Christianity, and the enslavement of people. So don't pretend that the Christianity earned its popularity. Okay, Napoleon wasn't a politician. Okay, he was a warrior. All right, and people died because they didn't believe, and that's the simple truth. And so, you know, it's almost like making the argument that the um, somehow the Native American philosophy is inferior because they lost the war to us and we took the land, and somehow that proves the superiority of the European perspective. I mean, that's nonsense. That's just like saying might makes right. That doesn't make any sense. And if you're going to take it a step further, let's say that the Muslim religion, it's growing faster than any other. Let's say it becomes the dominant worldwide religion. Does that mean now that Christianity is just a cult, a silly nonsense, another like the Native Americans' buffalo god? And so, are all you Christians, or all the people who believe that these parallel religions have credibility? Are they all going to say, "Oh yeah, well that's it's earned its place"? You know, it just anyway. Like I said, I don't want to get too far into other subjects. I just wanted to focus on. There has to be if there's going to be a discussion or an argument, you really have to have some sort of common definition for these words. And if you're just going to say that faith means belief without proof, and just ignore that certain part, and then just say that, okay, because it doesn't have to have proof, it can be any fairy tale somebody wants to conceive or contrive, that's just not going to work. And so I mean, you seem to be one of these agnostical types that thinks that we're just going to sit in some mushy middle, and it just I don't think the evidence indicates any need to do that. If we voided you of all human, we gave you all human knowledge except the knowledge of religious history, do you think you would sit and contemplate inventing a supreme being? I mean, I don't think it's anything. There's nothing in having a truth in our knowledge base that would compel somebody with that knowledge base to conceive this idea. It wouldn't be something they'd sit there and say, "Oh yeah, I have to invent myself a god." It only exists because we inherited it, and we inherited it from people who were really, really, really ignorant. I mean, they could be called idiots by today's standards. Retards. And that's the foundation. And so how can you have this argument against somebody who's explaining to you what faith, I just don't see it. I just don't see how you've made any dent in the substantial evidence that faith is no source of knowledge, and no source of understanding, and no source of appropriate human behavior. You got to have more than that, more than some, make it up kind of notion. It's got to have logic, and it's got to be reason, and there's got to be evidence.